Hello friends, I hope you've already seen my detailed video about Montenegro's tax system. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It should appear somewhere right here now. Let me remind you that last year we had a major tax reform, which significantly changed the rules of the game. Some of these changes I consider positive and some negative, but overall, in my opinion, the reform was a success and it can be viewed more positively than otherwise. Today, we'll be comparing Montenegro's tax system with those of other countries to find out where you can pay less in taxes. I won't be comparing it with every country in Europe. There are just too many of them. I have selected a few countries with the lowest taxes, and in fact these are the countries we'll be discussing. We'll only be talking about two types of taxes. These are the corporate tax, meaning a tax on company profits, and the personal income tax. I won't be including VAT in this comparison. Why? Because the first two taxes I mentioned, the corporate tax and the personal income tax, directly affect how much money you will actually receive. In other words, your company earns a certain amount, and the question is what portion of that profit you'll get to keep. Everyone understands the profit tax is deducted, and the remaining profit is your net profit after this tax is subtracted. And why else is the personal income tax important? Because when you receive this money as dividends, and usually getting money as dividends is cheaper than as a salary, you will have to pay personal income tax on those earnings. That's why both taxes are important to us. I decided not to consider VAT, since VAT is a tax paid by the buyer. Therefore, essentially, it does not affect the entrepreneur's profit in any way. The level of VAT in a country affects other indicators, like the price level in the country, certain macroeconomic indicators, the budget's revenue, how much the budget will receive from this VAT. But it does not influence the profit of entrepreneurs in any way. Well, at least I don't understand how it could have an effect. So let's compare. I always thought, and I've said many times, that Montenegro has the lowest taxes. Honestly, until recently, that was the case. Now I'm looking at a new ranking, and I'll leave a link to this ranking in the description of this video. In my opinion, it's trustworthy, so I didn't even bother to double check the data. But now the situation has changed. Apparently, Bulgaria has lowered its taxes. Bulgaria is now in the top two. I was about to say it's number one, but then I remembered there's another country. I've marked it. So, in Bulgaria, the corporate tax, meaning the tax on company profits, is 10%, and the personal income tax is also 10%. In Montenegro, it's 9 and 15 respectively. So, the corporate profit tax in Montenegro is actually lower than in Bulgaria, but the personal income tax is higher. These are the top two. Number one, the Isle of Man. To be honest, when I first read about the Isle of Man, I had no idea what it was or where it was located. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it turned out to be some island in the Irish Sea under the protection of the United Kingdom. So what makes the Isle of Man interesting? The corporate tax rate is 0%. However, the income tax is 20%, but it's still cheaper overall, and in principle it probably deserves the top spot in the ranking. Third and fourth place in our ranking go to Montenegro and Hungary. The corporate tax rate is 9%, and the personal income tax is 15%. And after that, there really aren't that many countries left. I mentioned right away that the ranking would be short. These are Serbia and Romania. In both countries, taxes are somewhat higher than in the countries I mentioned earlier, but nevertheless, they are still significantly lower than in Western Europe. Serbia, the corporate tax rate is 15%, and the personal income tax for individuals is 10%. Romania, respectively, has rates of 16 and 10%. For comparison, just to get an idea of what the taxes are like in Western European countries, they also vary everywhere there. But overall, I didn't see anything cheap. So Germany, the corporate tax rate is 30%, and the personal income tax rate is 45%. So compare that to Montenegro, 9 and 15 versus 30 and 45 here. The difference is enormous. France, the corporate tax rate is 33.3%. The personal income tax rate is 45%. Spain, 25 and 45%. And finally, I'd also like to mention neighboring Croatia. It's literally just across the road from us, and I've been there many times. From my house to the Croatian border, it's only about 20 or 30 minutes by car. The corporate tax rate is 18%, and the personal income tax rate is 36%. So the corporate tax is twice as high as in Montenegro, and the personal income tax is even more than twice as high. So that's the kind of ranking we have. Therefore, friends, next time you say that you have to pay too many taxes when working officially, and I hear this a lot from people planning to move to Montenegro, oh, I have to pay so many percent if I work officially, they'll take as much as 24% from my income. That's the corporate tax plus the personal income tax. I'll end up with almost a quarter less. It's just unthinkable. Friends, compare this with other countries. Let me remind you once again that in Germany you would be paying almost 3 times as much. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye, everyone.